I was just thinking about my first date, my very first date, how bad it went, and how far I've come from then, where now it's very rare for me to have a bad date. This girl, she was so attractive to me at the time. She was very attractive, and we had just been talking for a few days, and I asked her out on a date, and she said yes. This was my very, very first date. I had never gone on a date prior to that, so I was very intimidated. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I asked my dad for advice. That was one of the first times I went to my dad for something girl related. So I was a bit ashamed and scared, and I was like, "Hey, Papa, it's my first date. I don't know what to do." And like a good father that he is, he raised my confidence completely. He told me everything that I needed to hear. And going into it, I was better prepared after having that chat with my dad. And this is before I even was old enough to drive. So I walked from my apartment to her apartment. I'm telling you, it was 2 miles. 2 miles. It might have been more now that I'm thinking about it. It might have been more. So I walked all the way over to her house. I texted her, "Hey, I'm outside." She came outside. We hugged. And then we started walking to the restaurant. We're both Dominican, and this is a Dominican spot, so you can't go wrong. I was so nervous. I was so nervous that I completely forgot what we were talking about on the way to the restaurant. And we get to the restaurant and we order our food and we sit down and I asked her, "So how was your day?" While we're eating. And you know what she tells me? With no emotion, she tells me, "You already asked me that." And at that moment, bro, I was like, oh my God. Like, I was so nervous. I was so out of it. And I hadn't even realized that I already asked her that question. So I had to try to play it off. But how could you play that off? I was what, 14, 15 years old, maybe 16? It was a very rough experience. She got up and went to the bathroom and she took her phone. That's when I knew that I was fucked. That I'm overthinking. I'm like, oh my God, she's texting all her friends. He's bad. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. And I completely lost it. I had all these scenarios in my mind. And at the end of that day, I ended up paying for everything. And we start walking to like the main city center, I guess you can say, toward the city. And we're walking and we're talking. I asked some questions and she's like very, what's the word? Dry, I guess you can say. Like she's just giving me short answers. I was under the impression that you had to buy a woman something after a date. So I was trying to buy her something. And she was like, "I don't like that. Like, I don't do that stuff." And that's when I learned what window shopping was, because she said, "I don't like window shopping." So I was like, at the time, I didn't know what that meant. So I was like, okay, I don't know what that means. So, I kept it pushing and I dropped her off. We ended up walking back to her house. I dropped her off. And I got home after that 2 mile walk home. The whole time I'm thinking, man, that was so bad. And yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Funny though, it's funny because stuff like that, you gotta learn. You gotta learn through experience. Even though my dad gave me a great plan and motivated me and taught me what I should say, what I shouldn't say, I was so nervous that I didn't execute at all. So it goes to show that experience is your greatest teacher, like I've said before. But you gotta live. You gotta go through things to be able to level up. Now at this point in my life, dates are they're not a challenge for me. I've gone on many dates with many women. I'm always have a good time. And when I look back on how how my first date went, it's kind of come full circle now. So I can really laugh at that. But man, that was a terrible first date. But look, even if you start off bad, that's not what matters. What matters is how you end. If you end well, that's what matters. So that's going to be the story for today, guys. Thank you guys for supporting. Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment. It will help me out a ton. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.